Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Business Munchies, where we munch on some business ideas. This is a special episode. We have Dine with Data with us today. That's Vedika and Armaan with us. And basically, Dine with Data is a WhatsApp newsletter. They send newsletters a couple of times a week about new businesses, new startups that are quite cool. So, jumping right into the ideas that we have, we asked Vedika and Armaan to prepare a couple of ideas. So, what's the best idea that you guys have?
Okay, so I'll take this. Hi guys, I'm Armaan. So the idea I had is actually inspired from my favorite apps on the phone. That's Tinder and Swiggy. And the idea I had was to combine the two. Now, what actually happens when I go on to Swiggy is that even after being a massive foodie, I've got to spend a bunch of time trying to just find restaurants between the thousands of restaurants that they put on our screens. And then after selecting the restaurant, I have to check if the dish is available or not. And most of the times I don't have a particular dish in mind when I'm logging into Swiggy. It's mostly because I'm hungry or because I saw a food blog on Instagram, and I land up on Swiggy. So the idea I had was, rather than giving me the flow of showing me a bunch of restaurants and then making me select the dish, just show me pictures of dishes like Tinder does. Uh, Tinder, it starts with pictures of women, and then I just have to swipe right or left, depending on if I would want to match with them or not. And I think it's the easiest thing to do with food as well. If you have analyzed through my order data that I like pav bhaji or I like chola bhatura, just show me pictures of pav bhaji and chola bhatura, and I'll choose if I want to swipe right or not. That's the idea.
I absolutely love this idea. The only thing I would say is that it sounds like a feature that Swiggy could have, Swiggy or Zomato, or I guess you build it and you hope that Swiggy and Zomato buy you out. But in case Swiggy and Zomato don't listen to you, I was just thinking about it. Why don't you pitch this idea to a startup like Scootsie? I don't know if you guys have heard of Scootsie.
Yeah,
It's like it's the exact same thing, but it's just much smaller than Swiggy and Zomato. Maybe they're just like on the lookout for this killer feature.
but
Like,
Swiggy bought
Swig-
Kutsi, right?
did
Yeah,
they?
yeah,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
did, they
yeah.
did.
Oh shit!
But you know what you could do? Use this as the UI layer and use Dunzo as the delivery layer, right? So you don't really have to do the ops or any of that. You just do the front end of it, right? And if it really picks up, you could sell it to Dunzo, right? I do agree that it's a feature more than a product by itself, but it's a killer feature to have.
Definitely. Even I agree with Sid that it's a killer feature to have. But I think one sort of impediment here would be that people at times go by reviews more than images. Not all the times, but say a standard food image, standard food item, for example, momos or bhel or something like that. It's quite standard. The images won't differ as much from restaurant to restaurant. So in that case, people would go by reviews rather than pictures. So one would have to think of a solution for that.
It could be as simple as it could be as simple as saying that I will only show you 4-star and up restaurants or 4 stars and up dishes, right? So that way you can solve for this. And just to go back on the problem bit of it, I if it's one person ordering from Swiggy, it's difficult enough. Consider a couple or a family trying to order from Swiggy, right? Oh my God, it's a nightmare to come up with like a choice that works for everyone. Do this, and you're like this. So much more easier and so much more fun.
No, so I was just thinking that these guys have hands on the most, the deepest levels of consumer data possible. So, say they know that I'm living in Calcutta, an extremely humid city, and I'm opening the Swiggy app up at 4:30 p.m. Then just show me pictures of coolers and lemonades and juices and stuff. Do not show me pictures of food at all, because chances are that I've had my heavy lunch and it's extremely hot, and I'm just looking for a quick fix. So I don't really need to see pictures of food at that time. The implications of this could be applications of this could be endless. A simple order flow.
Arman, now I have a completely different take on the same idea. Flip it around. Now Swiggy has all of this consumer data, right? About like who's eating what. Why don't they use that data to turn it into a dating app? right? So basically, Zomato and Swiggy turning into a dating app, because that's what Peloton has also started doing. I remember reading about this a couple of months ago. Peloton in the US, which is like a fitness company, they have like these fitness bikes and they have all these members. And even over there, they're thinking about, I think they've already started or they're thinking about it, of making like a dating service for these people who are interested in fitness. So yeah, even that might be an interesting way to have this Swiggy plus Tinder idea of yours.
No, I'm sure Zomato's April Fool's joke is actually this exact thing. It's called Foodie Day by Zomato, and it tells people that, you know what, we're gonna match you to people with the same food choices. And even though it's an April Fool joke, I want such a thing to be there. Although I wouldn't be a user, I would hate the idea of dating someone with the same exact food choices.
Or they know they have enough data and they pair you up with, like, people with different food choices, so it doesn't really have to be like similar food
Absolutely.
choices. Yeah. So
Yeah, I wonder
yeah.
why this hasn't been done till now. Because they have so much data about all our preferences. I think they know us better than our partners by now.
But in this idea in general, though, a lot of these companies who have members or users, they collect so much data. There is, potential in some of these companies using this data to be a better matchmaker. I think what Tinder and all these apps have done is it's made it very easy for you to just swipe right, left, and go on dates. But the matchmaking is still difficult. Like, how do you find that one person who you really match with? That's still difficult on Tinder or Bumble or all these places, right? And this data could be utilized to make that happen.
Yeah, by the way, talking about, you mentioned food photography, I realized that for Arman's idea, the restaurants who spend the most on food photography are the ones who will destroy at this game. And I mean, it's the same thing with Tinder, right? The people with the best profile or the best photo, I guess, destroy. So it'll be the same thing for this. Like you add some dhania, I guess, to your pav bhaji, and that'll get you 100 more matches than if it's just a plain pav bhaji with butter on top.
No, the thing is that that's already happening.
That's true. It's already happening.
Yeah, another thing I feel could be a problem here is that restaurant food is generally just basic food on a plate, right? I mean, the plate can be fancy, the plating can be fancy, but there's no branding as such when it comes to restaurant food pictures. Now, it's very, very easy to sort of plagiarize those images and spread it all across the Zomato and Swiggy network. So that way, I think this could be a short stunt, but it won't last very long.
But think about it, right? Swiggy and Zomato have billions of dollars, and computer scientists, data scientists sitting there. They'll solve for this. If they really want to, they'll solve for this.
I hope so.
Okay.
Oh,
What's the next idea you guys have?
all right, so the next one is sort of based on personal experience, and I'll just like rewind a bit until last year when I came back from Milan, where I was pursuing my further studies. And within 2 hours of notice, I had to pack my bags and fly back to India. Now, at that much time, I could only pack half a suitcase, and I've lived over more than a year now with that half a suitcase. So that sort of showed me how to make the best out of what we have. And the complaint that almost all girls have at all times is that we don't have enough clothes. Now, this idea is in the AI fashion industry. Yeah, fashion tech, if I must say. And it is a personal stylist for every person out there. So, stylist is basically a service that only the creme de la creme of the society have access to. It is a rich person's service, right? And it costs a bomb to anyone who's availing it. However, every person has certain items in their wardrobe which can be styled in multiple ways to create multiple outfits. Just that people don't know how to do that. And this idea or this app is something that will give you sort of avenues in which you can style an outfit in 10 different ways, for example. So a person can just upload their clothes or accessories or shoes, whatever they have in their closet. And this app will generate different permutation combinations of outfits that you could possibly wear for a work day or for a date night or for a party. And the outfits would be shown again as Tinder cards, which you can just swipe right or left, and that way the app will be able to understand your personal style and then suggest you different items that you could possibly purchase in the future based on your style. That there goes the finance model of it.
Siddharth, I think you and I are married and we don't spend enough time on Tinder, but these young kids are spending a lot more time on Tinder. Everything is Tinder for them. If fashion is Tinder, food is Tinder.
Yeah, for people listening, Sahil and I are not married to each other, because I thought it'd be good to clarify. Okay, so the AI styling idea, right? I think this will happen. This is inevitable, right? As e-commerce and retail tech goes through its evolution, this entire idea of styling is going to happen, because um, I'm not that big a shopper, but I see my wife shopping online, and the struggle is real, because you have to check so many different websites and, like, mix and match and see something from here, something from there, all of it put together, and an experience where you say, I like this, tell me what can go with this, or I already have this, tell me what can go with this, right? And what this idea, it doesn't really have to be a full-fledged e-commerce operations where you don't have to hold inventory or any of that. You could build a tech layer, and you could literally partner with all e-commerce players out there, and you could partner with all, even these offline retail channels for that matter, right? So this could be a complete B2B business, and Sahil and I talk about it often on the podcast. We love B2B businesses because they're generally profitable. So doing this B2C might be a lot of investment in tech and marketing and e-commerce ops and or whatnot, right? But smart techies figuring it out and then selling it to other e-commerce players, I think this is going to happen for sure.
But I think Vedika's idea, if I'm not mistaken, was more of a kind of a SaaS model for
Right.
consumers, where you like, for example, I take a subscription to her thing. Let's say it's 1,000 rupees a month or whatever. I upload all of my clothes, including the Star Wars pajamas that I have. And then every day it says like, oh, hey, like you're just going to be at home. Why don't you wear this? Oh, hey, you have a date night. Why don't you wear this? The one big benefit I see in this is that, you know how Netflix plays a lot on the long tail of content, where like really shitty content gets recycled on Netflix, and people watch it. It's the same thing over here, right? Like some of those clothes that you bought like 10 years ago, but you haven't worn because you're like, what can I match with a bright red pair of jeans, right? But then this AI thing will be like, no, you can pair that bright red pair of jeans with like a bright orange thing, and you can just go as like a, I don't know, like an orange cone or something.
Traffic
Anyway,
cone.
a traffic
Right.
cone. But this can help people make more efficient use of their closets. It can tell people that like, hey, we will bring down your annual spend on clothes. The amount that you spend over here with us, 1,000 rupees a month, will be less than, or be, yeah, you'll save more than that if you use our tech, because you'll be using a lot more of your old clothes.
Definitely. And I think this would also work in the case of a new purchase, the item could just go to your cart and show you the different ways in which you could pair it. After seeing the ways in which you could pair it, you could go and make the purchase without thinking twice.
Yeah, and basically what you have over a period of time, because I think a lot more shopping is now moving online, is you could really have a virtual wardrobe in 2 3 years of times, as everything that you've shopped for is already there. And that's telling you like what do you want to wear today, right? I love the idea. It doesn't really have to be, so from what I'm hearing, it doesn't really have to be like shop more. It could be as simple as I
Style
want to
better.
go on a date. Yeah, exactly. I want to go on a date night. Just tell me what from my wardrobe should I wear, and it could start showing you as like your AR VR picture, whatever. Tell you that, hey, this is, yeah.
Like the whole lens cart model, right? Where they scan your face and stuff like that. Maybe for a whole body thing, every 6 months you go to like a physical location and get your body scanned, I guess. However creepy that sounds. And for all these Tinder, Swiggy dates that these people are going on, they'll get the perfect clothes.
Yeah.
That'd be perfect. And Sahil mentioned Netflix, right? So Netflix also shows you different shows based on what you've already seen. So I think this could also give you outfits based on what you've liked on Instagram or what you've worn before. So that way could be really personalized to you.
Oh yeah, because like Instagram has that direct e-commerce shopping filter now, where like you just click on the image you like and it'll take you directly shopping. You can integrate with that as well. So like you can, oh wow, yeah, that could be quite something.
Plus, I think all the marketing trends that I'm seeing right now support this idea a lot, especially because I'm seeing that fashion has become a massive influencer game. It always was a supermodel game. Now it's come down to influencers, and there is a certain kind of influencer that posts 1 million followers. They only, they tie up with brands, but there's a bunch of influencers in India, at least 100K to 500K region, whose entire play is that they just show you how to style existing clothes 4 to 5 ways. So there are IG reels like styling my dad's shirt 5, 6 different ways, styling my mom's sari 5 to 6 different ways, and so I can see this app or this service being such an easy plug in that kind of a content marketing play, that it's almost instinctive for a person to take the next step and download this app if they're seeing those reels.
For sure. Actually, while we were talking, I just Googled AI personal styling assistant. I found an interesting company called IntelliStyle. And I think they are doing that B2B model where they've developed the tech and they sell it to e-commerce companies and retail, offline retail companies, to just say that we're going to give you the tech backend of it. You decide how you want to use it. I think a similar play could happen. I don't think this is a winner take all market. A similar play could happen in India, selling to the world or just selling to companies in India.
Yeah, because Indian style will also be different, right? So
Exactly.
because these AI models are trained on different data sets, right? The way the Indian data set will be very different from the American data set, will be very different from the European data set.
Yeah.
So yeah, there is very high possibility of regionalization. I don't see how an American startup could win the Indian market. But that said, one of the biggest hurdles for this is going to be building that data set. Because yeah, building these data sets is quite hard. You have to hire a bunch of personal stylists who will spend a year just like tagging and being like, yes, this is good, this is bad, etc., etc.
So that is very interesting that you mentioned IntelliStyle because we covered that company on Dine With Data on 18th August. So that
Interesting.
I remember having a discussion with Vedika about this idea of hers back then as well. So it's been in her mind for almost 6 to 7 months now. That's where this is coming from.
So Vedika stole the idea, is what I'm hearing.
Of course, no. I like to take more credit for this, but also this was sort of inspired by the company that we featured yesterday, and on Dine With Data. And the company basically, it's called Dude Wipes, and what they did was they just launched basic toilet wipes, but for men. So what they did was they just repositioned an existing product, priced it better, and branded it better, and just started supplying it. And they was sold out during the pandemic, and they raised funding by the end of 2020 as well. So that said,
Wait,
I think
do you mean toilet paper, or do
I
you mean
mean wet
like
wipes,
facial wipes? Facial wipes.
wet toilet wipes.
Okay, okay.
There are wet toilet paper.
Yeah,
But which is that? So that's completely fine. But why? How is it different for a guy and a girl? Like, wait,
they
sorry,
just
I'm
branded it that way. They just called it Dude Wipes so that dudes would buy it. Simple as that. No product differentiation, nothing, just positioning. And they even raised money on Shark Tank for that matter. And so that sort of like, opened up this horizon for me, saying that any product can sell if you position it right.
yeah,
And
100%.
styling has been positioned for the rich till now. If you position it for the mass, I'm sure it's going to sell.
100%. I agree. I think AI driven styling is going to happen in some way or form across retail tech, fashion tech for sure.
Yeah, in fact, I just read up on it. AI in fashion is supposedly going to be a $1 billion industry in the next 2, 3 years. Just AI in fashion.
What you could also do is India produces so many fashion stylists or fashion designers, right, who don't really have like a good entry level job to go to, and they have to repurpose as interior designers and whatnot. You could even have a feature of like having a real personal sort of stylist, just engaging with them online, who's helping you sift through different stuff. And since it's not sort of really experienced folks, the senior people, it's those entry level folks with some basic knowledge who can help you, and done in a way where you're sharing their time, where multiple people can be tied to the same personal stylist, I think this could still be extremely affordable than what it is today.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
I think let's move on. But I just want to say we're all on video, and I'm definitely the worst dressed amongst all of us. So I think this idea is going to help me the most from everyone. Okay, my wife will be very happy with it. Moving on, guys. What's the next idea?
So the second idea is also surprisingly, actually not so surprisingly, it also has to do with food. Um, it's again a trend that I'm noticing that I'm not particularly happy with, but the market is supporting it. What's happening is that the more cafes that I visit, it's pretty clear that there is a very strong push for those cafes to look good, either even in their interiors and also what's on your plate, more than putting in a lot of substance on what's in the plate. And what I feel is that that's because of Instagram. People love showing where they're visiting, what they're eating, and it has to look good. So what looks good on your camera, surprisingly, it works well for the cafes as well. And what I feel is that this can be turned into a service. I suggest a service where you're building a cafe, great. You're going to do the food, you're going to do the interiors, all of that's great. But you involve this service, which essentially increases the Instagrammable quotient of your cafe. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in, I'm going to take a look at your menu. I'll have a bunch of chefs under my wing. I'll tell them that, okay, these are the plates that they're planning to serve. Make them prettier. These are the tables. This is the setup that they're going to do. Just make it more Instagrammable. Add gimmicks, add quotes on the walls that people love to share. Um, then the second thing that I've seen that people do use these places. Like a friend of mine, she owns an art gallery. Okay, and the outside of the art gallery is very well done. Like it's a beautiful mural of Calcutta. And I'm not kidding. Again, I'm coming back to Tinder, but I spent quite a lot of time on Tinder, and I've seen so many profiles with the same backdrop, that same art gallery. So my point is that people do that with cafes as well. There's a particular cafe in the same locality which has this beautiful bench, and a number of profile pictures are just on that bench, and that increases the reach of that cafe as well. So those gimmicks, these certain additions that you can add to the cafe to increase your social reach, that takes a certain form of thinking that doesn't have anything to do with food or running a restaurant business, and that's the service that I propose. Increase your Instagram quotient.
Before we say anything, I now know where the Dine from Dine with Data comes from. It has to be Armaan. The food angle has to be Armaan for sure.
No, also, I'm getting so much FOMO from this whole Tinder talk. I wish there was like a Tinder for married people just to make friends without any ulterior motives. Anyway,
You
going
have
back
lunch
to
club lunch club,
that's
right?
true. That's true.
Yeah.
I think the subtopic for this podcast should be how to optimize Tinder, honestly.
Tinder for X.
Everything is moving towards that. Yeah, but I think this idea is pretty good in a way because it sort of gives avenues to people to just like beautify their space without spending much. And for at least for Instagram, what I've seen is the things that beautify our space are more or less temporary. So not much investment is required. Maybe a neon light here and there, maybe some flowers here and there, and there you go, like an Instagram snapshot. So I think that would be like a low cost investment as well. And every cafe or every restaurant could have its own aesthetic, which is perfected by the service. So it could work, I think, nationwide or in fact worldwide, for that matter.
I call it vibe curation.
I love the name. I love the tag of vibe curation. I think what this also does is it gets you in to all these restaurants where you could potentially sell like other services on top of it, right? You could manage their social media. You could do so much more, basically under that angle of like, I'm going to make you more. I'm going to increase your social reach, and it starts with these vibe curation services. But I also have like XYZ other kinds of services.
Yeah. So, sorry, just thinking about the target audience for something like this. The target audience for something like this would be restaurants or cafes that are generally serving more the college crowd, the Gen Z crowd, the younger crowd that cares more about this, cafes or cheaper restaurants and stuff like that. Like Vedika said, like the affordability of this would then be very important, and also would be important to constantly change it around. Like every month, maybe you have like a subscription model with them. Every month you change it around, so that creates like this sense of urgency. Like, oh shit, like it's going to be something different. I need to come to this cafe now, and I need to take a photo with this really cool statue or whatever. And then maybe you take it from one restaurant, you put the same statue in some other restaurant or something like that. I don't know. And also, I like that it's a service business, because businesses have a much lower barrier to entry than a product business. Because all you need to do is you need to hire a designer, or unless you're a good designer yourself, you need to get somebody who knows how to plate food. So you don't even need chefs. You just need somebody who knows how to plate the food well, and that is enough to start it off. It can be two friends, a designer and a chef person, and you could start this off. Also, a completely different idea. You take a complete counter position on this, meaning that you say that, hey, all these other restaurants only care about like how beautiful they are, how Instagrammable they are, and all that stuff. You say that, hey, my restaurant is going to be ugly as hell, but all I care about is how good my food is. My food is going to be the best food you're going to ever eat, but the interiors are going to be ugly, because all I care about is my food. The place doesn't matter so much.
So you just described dhabas.
Yeah, basically a no nonsense restaurant.
Yeah.
A no nonsense restaurant, but like a dhaba for Gen Z, basically.
Yeah. There's one in Calcutta. That's extremely famous, where all drunk people go to. I forget the name. What is it called?
Jai Hind Dhaba.
Dhaba.
Oh, Jai Hind Dhaba. Oh, I've been there. Yeah, Jai Hind Dhaba.
Well, all dhabas in Calcutta are like that. You find drunk people at all points, at all cafes. I mean, all dhabas.
So this is something we're going to start. All right. Next idea.
Yeah,
Siddharth,
let's go
do you
for
want to
it.
take it?
Sure. I have to say this has nothing to do with Tinder. I'm sorry for disappointing to not continuing that theme. But okay, so lately I've been seeing these businesses which are aggregating a bunch of smaller businesses. I don't want to give it a name. It's not really micro P. It's something else that's happening in the industry. So the prime example for this is there's this company called thras.io, thras.io, which aggregates Amazon FBA businesses. So what they go and tell these small medium business owners that you've achieved some level of success on Amazon FBA. Let me acquire you completely. Let me acquire your business, and I'm going to give you a decent multiple for it. And they start running this business in house, and they've done this with hundreds of FBA stores. FBA is fulfilled by Amazon, so much less headache on inventory management and stuff like that. All you focus on is how do you sell well on Amazon. Now, a bunch of these FBA stores have a lot of services in common. Basically, how do you sell on Amazon, the marketing side of it, the ops side of it. A lot of teams you can drive a lot of economies of scale in the backend teams, right? So Thras.io has done this with Amazon FBA businesses. There's another business that did this with Atlassian apps. Atlassian is an enterprise productivity software which provides a bunch of different software, and they have an app marketplace also. So somebody started doing this with Atlassian, where they started buying apps from these marketplaces, and they recently raised like $100 million round or something like that. And Thrasio raised a $200 million round just to do this. Now, what stops somebody from India doing this with, let's say Shopify apps, right? Or Slack apps? Because India now has really good tech talent. I think it always had really good tech talent, which is why we saw the boom in IT services. But what it also has now is really good product talent, because of all the startups that have come up in the last few years, right? So when you're thinking these apps, you need product and tech people, and then a lot of the services could be could be sort of is where you drive economies of scale, where the marketing and ops and backend, all of this is where you drive economies of scale. And if you choose a niche where cross sell and upsell is possible, you don't really have to worry about customer acquisition cost. Also, you get in with one app and then figure out what the other apps are, either build it, acquire it, however you want to do it. But an aggregation of these small internet businesses, which are generally cash flow positive, you build a portfolio of them. You could do the Thrust.io model where you just keep running it, or you could do the micro PE model where you run it for 2-3 years and then just flip it to a bigger private equity player, the entire portfolio in a particular niche.
Okay, so Sid, here's a question. What do you think is Thras's core competency here? Is it the M&A strategies that they use, or is it the minds that are actually growing those FBA businesses after buying it out?
I think the M&A for sure, because one of the things that they advertise is we're going to close the deal in 30 days, right? So as a small and medium business owner, I don't want to get into this, big M&A hotshots with legal documents where I'm going to be screwed over one way or another. So they've simplified the entire process and said 30 days and we give you the money that you deserve, right? So that's one part of it. That's replicable though. But the compounding really happens in you're learning so much more by operating 10, 15, 20 different stores, where something that works with one can suddenly be applied to almost all of the other businesses also, right? So I think the combination of two is what's really helping them. Can somebody else build a Thrash.io? 100%. I'm sure somebody else is already doing it, right? But this is, again, these internet cash flow positive businesses. This is not a winner take all market. So multiple of these, aggregation businesses in a particular platform could potentially exist.
Right, I agree.
A really good example of this is also Tiny Capital by Andrew Wilkinson. This company started off as a digital agency. I think they were building websites and stuff like that. And this guy was making like a couple of $100,000 of profit every year. Oh, actually, I think we spoke about Andrew Wilkinson in the last Munchies episode as well, about the regional newsletters.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then he started slowly by buying Shopify apps and I think different like internet apps, right? And then what that gave him was that it gave him a lot of cash flow, because once you have a SaaS product, you get the same amount of money pretty much every month. Whether you market or not, you're going to get that $30,000 or $40,000 every month. That gives you a lot of surety to raise debt, or it gives you a lot of surety to just go out and buy other products as well, and you can build a big portfolio. So this guy Andrew Wilkinson, I think he started the same way. He started by buying smaller companies, probably less than $1 million, and now this guy does like 10, 20, $30 million deals, and he's built it up slowly over time. And this is going to be the same for Thras.io. This is going to be the same for any other company that does this. You're going to start small, but eventually the small companies will not be that interesting for you. You'll start going for bigger and bigger deals. And that means that the smaller deals will there'll always be an opportunity for other people to come in and take the smaller deals. Because for these big guys to manage these small companies, $50,000, $100,000, not going to be that interesting.
Yeah, I think the core fundamental to understand here is how you run internet businesses. A lot of things are common, right? Like content, SEO, digital marketing. A lot of things are actually skills that can be applied to different internet businesses. How you manage money, how you look at churn, and how do you build like cash flows, right? Those fundamentals are same across a lot of these internet businesses, be it SaaS or small e-commerce companies and stuff like that. This is also going to happen in e-commerce, by the way, right? Just to give you an example, Nick Sharma, it's not the exact same thing, but he's using his skill set of building direct-to-consumer brands and saying that I'm going to invest in a portfolio of these brands and I'm going to help them, go to market better and help them scale better. So,
and Nick Sharma is only like 22 years old. So for anybody who wants that little shot of like
What?
guilt,
Okay.
yeah,
24, yeah, 24.
24, yeah, no.
Yeah.
I keep a track of the age. No, another model that I feel that can be really added on to this is, say, like I'm someone who has 2 hours to 3 hours a day on which I can work on a side project. Okay. And say I choose a tiny SaaS space that I see and I start developing it. And only almost at idea stage, I send a mail to Thras that, hey, I'm building this and I feel that this could be a great acquisition for you someday. So why don't you give me a revenue target? That at this revenue target, you're going to acquire me. And I then build it just with the intention of selling it. Because then, as a 23-year-old guy who's just doing this for this some good money on the side, this is the best way to have surety. It's like those MBA colleges that give you a seat after 2 years, the guaranteed seat after 2 years. So Fast tells you that, okay, you hit this target and I'll definitely buy you out.
100%. And what that gives you is optionality, because you're in no agreement with them to say that I will have to sell it at that point in time. But when you get there, you can sell it. Or second, you can say that, hey, this has a lot of upside potential. I want to do this full time, right? 100% agreed with you. Yeah, I was just thinking while we were talking about it, is you could technically do this with Instagram pages, right? Like there are so many Instagram pages that are generating revenue by like being influencers or whatnot, right? Where the faces of the person is not in front of the camera because you can't really aggregate that.
Most of communities. Instagram
exactly.
communities.
Most of these Instagram communities, you could start sort of buying these pages out. And at the end of the day, it's the similar skill set, right? Like designer skill set on like what to post and when to post and how to manage Instagram pages. So much economies of scale in the back end. And one Instagram page is not attractive for a potential acquirer, but a community of 15 or 20 different Instagram pages can fetch you a crazy multiple on the revenues.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Sid, when you said like combining companies that have something to offer to each other, like a strategic M&A of sorts, and building a syndicate there. Because I feel marketing and performance marketing, for that matter, is something that grows over time based on the data you serve it, right? And that is a service that will sort of uplift any business, a service, a SaaS, a e-commerce, small e-commerce business, any business. And for that matter, any business, any product with great marketing is better than a great product with no marketing, right? So I feel that can just like uplift the game of all businesses out there achieving to be acquired.
Yeah. So the core thesis here is a lot of these businesses have limited sort of market size to target, right? If you're ambitious and if you're going to be focused on just one of these businesses, you're going to try and toil to increase the market size and do things that are not sustainable, right? Versus take that business, the market size is only this much, take it till there and start getting more businesses with smaller market sizes in niches, and not try to play the, I want to grow at all costs kind of game.
Okay, to kind of shift gears a bit, what you said about Instagram reminded me about a conversation I had yesterday or maybe the day before with a listener. So, as you guys probably know, every single person who joins our WhatsApp group, we message them and we have a conversation with them usually. A couple of days ago, I messaged one of these guys who joined our group, and I had one of the best conversations. I spoke to him on Zoom for like an hour. It was amazing. And I'll tell you why Instagram reminded me of it. This guy, he's 20 years old. This is his second startup. He's made a company where they do meme page influencer marketing. Okay, this guy has a team of like 15 people. Most of them are interns who like make memes for him. So, for example, right, and there are already a couple of competitors that he has. Like there's this one company in Bangalore which has like 60 employees. This guy's based in Indore, and there's another Indore company also which has like 30-40 employees. So one of his competitors, one of their clients is MX Player. MX Player comes up with this new web series. Most of the web series I've seen on MX Player are absolutely bad as hell, but they want to make it viral, right? Quote unquote viral. So they'll give the web series to these companies. These companies will make a bunch of like memes out of them, like their meme army will make a bunch of memes out of them, and these guys have tied up with all these like meme pages, like like you're on the Instagram discover page and you'll see all these really shitty memes and you're like, who runs these pages? and they'll have like a 500,000, 1,000,000 and followers and all that stuff. You're like, what the hell is this? Yeah, so he ties up with these kind of pages, and the total amount that he has, like something like he says 600 million followers from all the meme pages that he's tied up with. Yeah, so they'll post these memes on all of these different meme pages, and then it'll look like it's going organically viral on all these different meme pages, because all these different meme pages are posting about this thing, about this web series. And like he told me pricing, and the pricing was like 2000, 2500 per million follower page. Kind of, I hope that makes sense. So like, for example, if you want to reach 40 million people, like followers ka thing, then it'll be like 2500 rupees per million. So like 2500 times 40. And this guy, he just started like 6 months ago. He's already doing pretty well. And I was like, dude, this is amazing. This is an amazing way to reach Gen Z audiences. This is an amazing way for like D2C companies, for these like OTT platforms to reach like so many new, really young customers. He gave me some examples as well. And I was shocked at how cheap it was to do it.
No, I wanted to add something to this. This is really interesting, and do share the contact with me because it'll really help my B2C business. But then again, I feel that there's this use case for me marketing here, and I'm talking from personal experience again. There are times when you can't directly position your product in a way because that's frowned upon by a certain section of society. But then if it's positioned by a meme page or shown in a funny manner by another group of people, it is more accepted than the brand positioning it that way. Now, I can't be very explicit with it, but I'm in the dessert market, and desserts are consumed at a certain point in time of your day. And I can't be very explicit about it again, but I can't position my brand that way. However, a meme page can. So that way, there are a lot of ways in which people can find use cases for meme pages specifically.
By the way, Vedika has a cookie dough company, and it looks so good. I really want it. Anyway, sorry. Going back to this.
Thank you, Scoopski.
Yeah.
Plug.
For sure. I mean, I saw the website, and I think I saw that the front page video at least 5 or 7 times. Just like I was just hooked onto it. I was just looking at it, and yeah, for sure, really good designing there for sure.
Meme marketing thoughts.
Memes as a service, I did not think we would go there. I did not think this will be a thing. My mind was blown when I first heard about this idea, and it in retrospect, it sounds so obvious. It sounds like, oh, this should have existed. Yeah, this makes sense.
So, a funny story actually, I did this 3 years ago. I mean, a two friends and me, we started a meme page, and it was just about, stuff about like millennial issues and funny things that happen in college, okay? And it got traction. It reached about 1 lakh followers on Facebook, and at that time, Facebook was still going strong. So we had a couple of brands reach out to us for making memes, especially for them. So obviously they wanted to use us as a content producer as well as use our page as a distribution portal. But a couple of people were just okay with using us as the creators of the meme. They didn't want us to really post on our page directly. And what actually happened, because I had mentioned it, we did get a lot of offers from these meme what are these things called, meme aggregation services. What they do is they just take a bunch of pages like Sahil mentioned, and which have similar audiences, and they just aggregate them. Like they ask for about 50% of the company for a certain amount, or 50% of the page. The total idea was that they'll pay us that money, and we just have to post once in a while for them and create the content. So this has been going on in India at least from 2017. First I heard.
Wow. Yeah. I couldn't believe it the first time, but as we said, right, like this is so obvious in hindsight. Also, I absolutely hate that we went to college in 2008, 2006, 10 period. None of this existed. Like literally none of this existed. I know I was talking to a friend back in 2007, 8 when Twitter had just come out, when he had a profile on Twitter, and I was like, why would you do this? Like, this makes absolutely no sense. Cut to today, and I spend, I think, half my day on Twitter. But so many more interesting opportunities when you're in college now to do so many of these side hustles that we didn't have it back then. So it's just a small rant on that. But yeah, meme as a service, I can't believe this exists. Love it. Absolutely love this idea. Such a good side hustle for people in colleges, and such a great way to get a knack for business, because you're dealing with clients and stuff like that. The creativity is always flowing. You look at the world with that creative angle, or like, how can I meme the shit out of this, right? And yeah, such a good place to be at.
And I think humor has always been a key selling point for any product or service. Humor always works, regardless of which industry you're in. So
Exactly.
I think this should have come way back in history as a service, but I'm sure there'll be different sort of forms this meme marketing service takes, given the different formats that we are moving into, reels and all TikTok videos and Clubhouse for that matter now. So maybe I think I'm foreseeing this, but I think there'll definitely be a time where people market on audio notes via Clubhouse, which are funny.
Yeah, this was a really interesting conversation I had with this guy. If anybody wants to connect with him, let me know. We can do that. Okay, cool. Siddharth, let's close it out. This was a fantastic episode, by the way. I had so much fun.
Yeah, thank you, Vedika. Thank you, Armaan, for joining us. For everybody listening, they run Dine With Data, and they send a daily WhatsApp newsletter on one interesting startup. I would highly recommend you subscribe to that. I've been subscribed, and I absolutely love this dose of, like, just a new startup idea, and then that gets you thinking on what's out there already. Love the work that you guys are doing. Thank you for doing it. And yeah, fantastic episode. Loved all the ideas. And yeah, we're going to close it out. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, again, Sahil. It was amazing being here, and looking forward to many more collaborations in the future. Love working with you guys.